Boom. We should be live, and it should all be working. Fingers crossed, we're all good to go. Now, I'm just going to back the audio levels off a little bit. Welcome, everybody. I know I haven't been posting a whole lot of videos this week. I've been working on a pretty big project, big collaboration video with a lot of other channels. We're going to be talking about something that's kind of important coming up on the next sort of video that you see us all in. So, I encourage everyone who's in the guitar community to watch it because I think it applies to everybody. And, yeah, not only if you're just watching the content, but if you're also making it, it's definitely a point of discussion that needs to be spoken about in the guitar community. So hang around for that. It should be a lot of fun or informative at least anyway. And I've got a lot of people who I haven't done videos with before. And yeah, I think you'll get a kick out of it. It's something that I've been thinking about for a long time. So that's coming up. Also on Saturday, I've got my first live session with Dr. Rick coming up. This is a little bit of a different sort of video. So I have a feeling you'll get a kick out of this one as well. This is you'll know when you see the thumbnail. It'll be the next video that comes up, and then the podcast one will be after that. So I'm waiting on a few other people to shoot me a video that they're shooting for this particular topic of the podcast, and then I'll launch it. So I'm giving everyone until Monday my time, which is Sunday US and Europe time. So yeah, it should be good. We've got some different stuff coming up. It's been a big project, and I'm not putting ads on it or anything too. So if anyone's watching this part of this video back later on, comment, like, all that stuff on that podcast video. That'd be amazing. So anyway, some fun stuff coming up and some important stuff coming up. So a good mix of everything, and then back to the regular things as well. Welcome, everybody. Matthew, how you doing? We got Simon. We've got John from Lithgow. David, Melbourne still in lockdown? We are not. We only had a 5-day thing. I didn't even know about it at the last live stream. Supposedly it crept up without me knowing about it. So, yeah, they go into panic mode here way too easily. Anyway. I hope you guys are doing well. John, how you doing? We've got Cristiano, is it? Hello from Italy. Let me know if you ever use the subtitles I put on some of the videos too, because lately I've been translating all the videos into lots of different languages just to see if anyone uses them. So I correct them in English first because they're usually wrong, and then I'm using this really efficient YouTube tool to convert the subtitles into other languages. So usually there's like Italian, German, Swedish, Danish, a whole lot of different languages. So hopefully that's all right. 5 days, 2 weeks ago. Yeah, that's it. We've got Matthew again. Hello, mate. He's from the Batesman area. Very cool. Cold North. I'm going to move this over. I always do this. I always have the chat on the bad side of the screen. Jason, welcome. That's a cool name. Raphael, welcome, mate. Hey, Jamal. We got Yankee as well. Very cool. So tonight's... It's like 11 o'clock p.m. here. I thought I'd go live. This is the first week maybe in a long time I haven't uploaded a video, just a regular video. It's been almost a week, so I figure I should go live while I got some time and some energy. I actually had a nap before. I couldn't believe it. Then I went and got dinner, slept through dinner. I was like, all right, I'm getting out of the house, get some food, come back and do a live stream. Feel like I got a bit of a second wind. And we've got the Pepsi Max ready to rock and roll. Don't forget Portuguese. I always do Portuguese. It's always in there. So I won't forget that one. Just going to see if anyone uses them, like it's good to see if people even just use the English ones as well. It's interesting to find out. All right, we've got Janice, welcome. We've got Russell as well. How you doing? So tonight we're taking questions. If you got something you want me to talk about, let me know. Bit of a hangout session here. And also, I'm going to timestamp this after the fact too. It's only going to be an hour tonight, so we'll wrap it up just after midnight here. And yeah, it's been ages since I've been live, so welcome everybody. I hope you like this live session clip I've got planned for this weekend. It's a bit of fun. I think you'll know the thumbnail when you see it. Mr. Bogut says, what's up, man? Been downing some blue V's. Yes. Yeah, they're my morning. It's like my breakfast. It's just like, they're awesome. Kevin says, good morning from the Great White North, Minnesota. Very cool. Never been there before. Oh, have I been there before? I always get that confused with somewhere else. No, I haven't been there before. All right, cool. Life of a childless adult. I am not jealous. Man, I tell you what, I don't know, kids thing. It's I think I think I appreciate my freedom and ability to do whatever it is I like when, but at the same time, there's pros and cons of both, right? So it is what it is. I have a question for you. I've been learning in person for 3 years. I really want to know what you prefer, in-person lessons or online. I prefer instructional videos of any description. You can just keep playing them back until you get it. And as you develop your playing and ability, things that you couldn't do 2 or 3 months ago or 6 months ago become easier, even if you haven't been working on them because of the amount of time and the playing. It's all about consistent playing first and foremost. But for me, one of the things that helped me more than anything, I've said this before, the Matt Smith Beginner's Guide to Blues Guitar. It goes through from very basic lick lessons all the way through to more advanced stuff. And then it also goes into chord approach. And then after I sort of completed that whole video, I went onto the Ronnie Earl one and went through all of that video as well. And then after that, I kind of starting to get the concepts about the tonalities, what the hand muscle to brain coordination thing was doing. So basically after that, I've just started going through CDs and just picking, licks off albums and all that kind of stuff and trying to capture the feel. So for me, I much prefer to see it and hear it, especially if it's something that's unfamiliar to me. I can listen to an Albert King or whatever album. Most straight up blues albums I can listen to and know visually in my head what the licks are, but I can't pick the key a lot of the time, so I'm sort of like, it's probably around here, and I'm not sometimes too far off, but like I can listen to albums and visualize the hand movements as well. Even if I can't physically play it, I can hear that in my head, and that comes from developing that hand to brain coordination. Whatever way works best for you is the best way to learn, but the best way for me was visual and audio. So having an instructional video that I could just, back in the day, rewind and do it again, that was by far the best. So Matt Smith and Ronnie Earl, they got great blues lessons. Shout out to, what's his username on here? Stop No Names for the Ronnie Earl one. He might pop in. Where's the doctor? Haven't seen him in a while. He's been busy, so we've got a video coming up together this weekend. It'll be up in 2 days' time. It was a big project, and I was going to split it into like 10 little videos, but instead you get 2 big videos, which are much more fun. So the first part will be up on Saturday or Sunday morning, Saturday night here. So it'll be somewhere around there. And then the second one will be the following week. He'll be back. Don't worry, we're doing more stuff together. We couldn't do anything together in person for what felt like a year, so it was what it was. He was busy with work, obviously with what's going on, and not being able to travel to certain particular points in the city made it hard as well. So, yeah. All right, let me take some. Played any Peavey valve amps? Yes, I have. I've owned a few. So. Well, I say I've owned a few. I've owned a few Peavey Delta blues amps over the years. I've had mixed results with those. Some have been exceptional sounding-wise, and some were the most unreliable pieces of junk. So that's just my experience with it. The older ones, I know this sounds as cliche as it gets, but the quality control went down before the move to China. So I haven't tried the Chinese ones at all. Not because I don't want to, but I left a bad taste in my mouth that the Peavey amp that I paid full price for was a piece of junk, and it had nothing but problems, the second one, so I ended up getting it replaced, and then I sold it as new because it wasn't good. And that had the same problem too, so I sold it knowing that the reverb problems existed. And the guy bought it knew that as well, but it was brand new. I played a Classic 30, which I love those amps. If I was to buy another one, I'd probably buy a Classic 30. Or an older Delta Blues. They're my 2 favorites out of all of them. I've also played a Peavey Classic 212, which I think is okay, but I don't like it as much as the Delta Blues tone-wise. There's something bland about it, which isn't the case with the Classic 30. The Classic 30 with the single 12 is awesome. Funnily enough, one of the guys that's in the video that's coming up this Saturday, Dave, who's been on the channel a number of times now, we were both bidding on a black limited edition Classic 30 on eBay about a year ago, and he beat me. I didn't know it was him. Otherwise, I wouldn't have bid, but... yeah, anyway, he got that, and that's a great amp, and I actually borrowed it off him and reviewed it on the channel, so that's a killer amplifier. And one of the best guitar tones I've ever heard in my life was a Classic 50 4x10, like a super reverb one. But they load it in with bricks. It is so heavy. So, yeah, just don't buy one if you've got a bad back. I would have trouble lifting it. It's just brutal. It's really brutal. All right. Liquens Roland, is it? I'm sorry, man. I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. Have I tried a Vintera Strat? So we actually tried some. Which one is this one? No, is the short answer. But we will. We'll get there. They've definitely got these in the shop. So now that Rick's helped me out with some right-handed videos, right-handed guitars, I should say, not right-handed videos. We'll be able to get more of that kind of stuff on the channel. But no, we did try the Aerodyne one, which was pretty cool. That's coming up. Stay tuned for that. What guitars are you looking most forward to playing this year? Mine. It sounds ridiculous, but I would say I'm loving the ones that I've got. But if you're talking about ones that I don't own, I gotta tell you, the Fender Professional 2 guitars really, really surprised me. I was actually, after I played the Strat, and there's another one of those, we do a jam with some coming up this weekend, I was really shocked how great they were. They were like really, really good. I got home, I was like, man, they might be better than mine. So I picked up mine, and it was great. So I don't feel too bad about it now, but I think I want to go through that series of guitars, the Teles, the Strats, and just, yeah, try them all and see what they're like. But, yeah, you know what? I got to play a guitar today I've been looking forward to playing for about 15 years. And I've got a video coming up about that. I don't want to spoil it, but that was one I was looking forward to as well. But that's already now in the past as it was today. So, yeah. But I don't know. Let me know, everybody, what you're looking forward to playing this year, because while I review gear, I don't necessarily always look forward to next year's stuff. I don't think it's usually any better. There's some exceptions to it, but not always. And Dylan, welcome, man. How you doing? Sorry if I didn't say hi before. Hey, we've got Bill Marlowe here as well. Welcome, mate. Donnie? Oh, Donnie was the one that asked the question. Jam buddy. Yeah, that's it. Len, that's cool, man. Hello from Romania. What amp is worth it for practice at home? So there's a million great small amplifiers. The one that I like to use when I'm just sitting in the lounge room or whatever is the Joyo Jam Buddy. It is a great little amp. It costs you nothing. You don't need your phone just to play or get tones through it. You can Bluetooth music from your phone or stream it from YouTube into the amp and play along with it, and that it works extremely well. They're battery powered, or you can run them on a power supply. So they've got their own built-in rechargeable battery, which lasts for ages. It's really good. Check out the Joyo Jam Buddy. Rick liked mine so much he actually bought one. So they are really good. I'm just gonna fix this. That should fix that. All right. Do I use any particular brand of string or whatever you can get your hands on? You know, I used to use Ernie Balls a lot, but they went up in price. So I just started buying Diodarios years ago. And, you know, I'll buy whatever I can at the best price. But usually the Diodarios are slightly cheaper. And I only buy them from shops, either online, where I can physically walk into their store and I know them. Or I'll buy them when I'm actually in a shop and just get them while I'm there, because there's a lot of fake strings out there, which is ridiculous, but it's true. So, yeah, Diodarios and Ernie Balls, the Power Slinky one with the 18G. That's 18? Yeah, I think it's an 18. That's the one that I like the most. But yeah, the Diodarios, wherever I've got them. I don't even know where they are. But yeah, I've got a pack of 5 or 10 or something like that. Thanks, John. He says, totally agree. Videos in your own time, at your own pace, best way. Yeah, I feel like, I used to do at least 3 a week, and I'm being really selective with the stuff that comes in. I say no to like 90% of the emails I get for this channel now, because I can borrow whatever I like from the shop, which makes the choice a lot easier for me. And it's just, I've had so many things turn up and not work, and I've sent it back, and it's just a hassle. I don't want to go to the post office, man. The more I can stay away from there, the better. I just, yeah. So for me now, it's easy for me to go to the store, borrow stuff, or shoot a video in there if I can, or whatever. They let me take home whatever I want, whenever, and our arrangement's pretty cool. They let me do that. I give them a shout out. That's it. Oh, hang on. I'm right behind the chat here. Let me scroll down. John says, I find the more theory someone has, the more boring they sound. Yeah, I'm a bit like that with a lot of players too. The anomalies are the guys that have a lot of theory who still make it sound great, like Chris Kane, like Robin Ford. These are the guys that still play with a lot of heart and soul and feel and groove, but they know the theory. So, yeah, I totally agree. If someone's just being technical for the sake of it, it's absolute boring as batshit for me too. I'm not a big fan. But the kind of players that I listen to, they're very simple in their approach. I say simple, right? But a lot of the guys, you'll know their licks when you hear them, and I love that. I love the signature sound, irrespective of how many tricks they've got. I love that, and I should preface this by saying, like, you look at a guy like Mark Knopfler, who's back on the wall back over here. He's the best. He's got the technicality going on, but it feels and sounds amazing. And he doesn't have to play fast. He doesn't have to play complex. But every note he hits, it sounds good and it's memorable. It's melodic. He's got a lot of good stuff going on. Hi from France. Very instructive channel. Thank you, Hervé, is it? Thank you. If I mispronounced your name, I apologize. Got a lot of people from France in here tonight. Must be a good time for you guys. Neil says, question... Oh, sorry. I'll take this one first, then I'll go back up. Hear a lot about tone playing live in a noisy bar. Do you think the audience can really tell the tonal difference between 2 amps? Yes. But it's how much they care about it, right? It depends who's in the crowd. If it's just the average audience member, they might go, oh, that guitar amp sounds really like, it might be too bright, but they don't know, maybe how to express that, or they might not be able to hear an amp properly. So they'll say, something's not right with the band. Like, why can't I hear this guy? It's a different sort of, it's a different way of hearing things. But if there's any other musos in the crowd, then yes, absolutely. Big tonal differences are very easily spotted. I play live most weekends, again, now that we're unlocked. And you can drastically hear the differences between amps in the room. It's like not even close. And yeah, but I've got that kind of ear, and I'm listening for things like that. I'm listening for good playing, and I'm also listening for tone as well, but I'm listening mostly for good music. And I think that's how most people will hear it. They probably will care less about the guitar tone if you're playing something like, Bon Jovi, for example, right? Or something like that where they're just singing along. They couldn't care less about the guitar tone. But if it's like a blues gig, then maybe it's a different state of mind. You want to hear something that, has a bit of a certain tonality to it. Or something that's familiar to the audience, maybe. King something says, artist guitar for 300 or Fender's player for 750 used? $750 used for a Players Series, what Tele or Strat, is kind of expensive. You could probably get it new for like not much more than that. So think about that. But if you get a good used guitar, I would probably talk that down, especially if you're in Australia. I wouldn't be paying $750 for a used made in Mexico Strat or Tele. So the artist guitar is not as good as a Fender Player Series Tele, but it's better than entry-level Squires. So that might give you some perspective. It's kind of like a Yamaha Pacifica. It's that kind of quality. So yeah, I wouldn't say they're better, but they're definitely better value. I haven't played it live. I actually wouldn't mind taking out those guitars and giving them a rip, seeing how they go. Players with just enough theory to play with others, they are interesting. They do it as much as they can with what they have. Yeah, that's it. And you're always learning and listening. Like, one of the things that kills me at the jam, right? Like, there's guys that don't seem to understand they're part of a whole, and they're just doing their own thing, and they're like oblivious to kind of what's going on around them, and they never end up contributing in a way that works for the benefit of what's going on around them, nor do they really make an effort to improve. I've known some of these guys for 20 years, so it's sometimes frustrating to play at jams like that, but you get to a point with your playing where you're consistent, and then you can pretty much sit in with anybody, and that's when you start to develop your musicality with others, which is completely different compared to your musicality when you're at home playing on your own. That's why I always say to people, you can only get so much out of jamming at home. This was a great example. When we went to Germany a couple of years ago with Dr. Rick, he killed it when we played. Well, I didn't get to play live. They didn't have a left-handed guitar. But when they played live, he's got the live experience. He wiped the floor with all these bedroom YouTubers who just make videos at home, who do great videos. But they're not live players, and it clearly showed. There was a few guys that were amazing too, right? So they weren't all bad. There was lots of fantastic players. But just in terms of that straight-up blues jam, it's a very different skill set, and I thought he did a great job. Players with just enough... Okay, let me scroll down. Jamal, he says, how difficult is it recording with GarageBand with an amp and guitar? It's not hard at all, man. If you've got a microphone sorted out, plug it into the sound card that you've got, and then all you have to do within GarageBand is select the audio interface as what you're recording from, and then select which input you've got it plugged into. It's a piece of cake. That's what I do on this computer now. I used to have a PC in here a while back, but I took my old Mac and put it in here for doing the intro tracks. And all I use is a very similar sound card to you. I've got that Steinberg one over here, and it's a 2-input sound card, and that's it. I don't have anything flash. I really don't think you need anything too flash to get it done. Oh, hang on. We've got a super chat here. Sorry if I missed it. Jeff, thank you, man. I appreciate that. Word on the street is that Dr. Rick has been seen practicing hula hoop. Seems he took it badly and he missed the beach gig last weekend at GNT. I don't even know what GNT is, man. Oh, yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, Jeff, mate, you're a madman. Thank you. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick with my hula hoop model as opposed to Dr. Rick in a bikini. So, yeah, thanks for that, mate. Yeah, I think there's only a handful of people that will understand that joke. So, yeah, thanks, mate. Thanks for the support, Jeff. Appreciate it, mate. Sorry, I don't know where that popped up. It just popped up now, so hopefully I didn't miss it earlier. Let me scroll down. Thanks again, mate. Gene says he had an 03 Delta Blues for years. Put a Weber Alnicos in it and ran old Peavey single 15 cabinet. Under it, retubed it with different 12X7s, and it roared like a beast. They're great amps. I actually, like, one of my good friends, Brian's got an old Delta Blues. He got it for next to nothing. It was beat up, and it sounds phenomenal. The problem I had with my newer one was they had a series of releases where if you turned the reverb up, it would start to self-oscillate, so you couldn't use it. And I love having a bit of reverb. It was a deal breaker on the amp for me not to have it. I didn't want to run a pedal into it, and it was a bit of a You know, buy something new, you expect the reverb to work, right? So it was like you would turn the reverb up and tap the amp, and it would just start to go. Now, if you didn't tap the amp, all you'd have to do is hit a note, and it would do exactly the same thing. And they replaced the valves, and I ended up with another amp, and it did exactly the same thing. So, but the old ones are phenomenal. They're a great amplifier. Brett says, "Hey Shane, looking at getting an original series Strat. Would you keep it on the case or in the guitar rack?" Oh, in the case or on the guitar rack. I think I'll play it more if it's on the rack, but I don't want to destroy it. So when it comes to the way I usually store my guitars, I always put them back in the case. And the reason why, I don't want to have to keep replacing the strings. The longer the guitar's out, just sitting there for 3 or 4 days, if you've got the heater on or it gets cold in your house or whatever, the strings are going to feel really terrible really quickly. So I always put mine back. And if you're in a room where you're doing lots of other stuff, or you might have kids running around, or you might have a chance of knocking it over if you take something out the door, put it back in the case. I learned the hard way with that with one of my new Telecasters a while back. I dropped a power supply on it off this desk onto my guitar and took a big chunk out of it. So, look, it's up to you. People say I'll play it more if I leave it out. You might have a guitar that you just leave out, but that's fine. But depending on your house and situation, you might find that you're going through strings a lot quicker, or the strings are going to feel pretty crappy. So maybe leave it in a gig bag in a room. That'd be my suggestion. But everyone, especially acoustic guitars, you'll just see them left out a lot of the time. But yeah. But they're a great guitar, man. So I love mine. I wouldn't leave that out whatsoever. With Fender, I really can't tell the difference in terms of tone and playability with the high-end American versus custom shop. Besides the obvious, I can. The main differences are the profiles of the neck are usually different, and I can hear a clear difference in the pickup tones, but that doesn't always translate to better. You know, I did a video where I compared my American original 50s Strat versus a custom shop 50 Strat, which almost look identical to each other. One had the gold hardware and the fancy custom shop case and all that kind of stuff, but the tones weren't that different, right? And it's hard to spend custom shop money on a Fender because they're all, well, I shouldn't say they're all made the same way, but they essentially are minus the finish. So there's sort of less that goes into it, say, than over like what a Gibson or a Heritage guitar might have. They've got a lot more work that goes into them. So you kind of can justify, well, you might not be able to justify it, but yeah, I think it's easier maybe to justify that over something that's cut out on a machine. But look, I don't think a custom shop Strat or Telecaster really suits me personally. There's some that I've really loved, but being that I'm not doing like big shows or anything like that, it's just not really worth it for me. I'm happy with what I've got, and if I can't get those guitars to sound good, I'm doing something seriously wrong. I've nailed my Strat tone, by the way. I'm going to do a video about it because the reason I went back to the Strat was to see if I could make it sound like I basically used to get them to sound like, or what I thought I used to get them to sound like, and I think now they may actually sound better. So yeah, I've got that classic blue Strat tone back, and I'm kind of wrapped. Stop No Names, we were talking about you before, mate. I hope you're doing all right. We're talking about the Ronnie Earl instructional video you gave me years ago. Let me scroll down. I started playing at the age of 20 and I stopped there. I haven't played for 10 years, even though it was a great... I was a great talent, okay. I wonder if you can show us a place where we can really learn chords. I mean, you can learn chords from anywhere, man. There's like 1 million lessons on YouTube. Just, what do you want to learn? You want to learn some... See, this is the thing. Everyone says you want to learn some jazz chords. I mean, you can throw those chords over almost anything, right? So just learn some new songs that might challenge you to make new shapes. Like today I wrote a new backing track for the Artist 335 guitar back there. And I forced myself to come up with something completely different. And I was like, man, like if I hadn't have challenged myself, I would have done exactly the same thing I would have done on another video. So it got me out of my comfort zone completely. It's almost like I don't even know what it sounds like. It just sounds completely different of what you're used to hearing from the channel. So I was like, far out. All right, so I've challenged myself. I pushed myself and I did something new. And you do that less as you get older. So get onto it. I'll take the super chat, then we'll go back up the chat here. Steve, thank you, mate. $4.99. That's pounds, right? Thank you. Hi, Shane. Yeah. Well, there you go. Lunchtime here in Liverpool. What's your definitive bodywood and fingerboard combo for Strat? I gotta say, I like the ash bodies because they look cool. There's nothing more than that when it comes to guitars for me. It's just, how does it look? That, you know, whether they sustain more or less is a debate for the ages. But I think a good swamp ash body or something like that is fine. I really don't mind that. And I really love the maple fretboard. The one that I bought recently was I say recently, it's a long time ago now, probably 6-8 months ago, is that Fender 50s original Strat, the white one. That is pretty much the best looking guitar I've ever owned. I love it. I think it just looks beautiful. So to me, that would be the perfect one. The only one I've seen that I like more than that visually was the custom shop one that looked very similar to it, but it had gold hardware. But otherwise, I like the white sort of translucent finish on the swamp ash or ash body or whatever it is, and the maple necks. If they're done well, they look beautiful. I don't mind rosewood ones either on a white Strat, but yeah, there's something pretty nice about the one I've got. I feel pretty lucky to have it. Thank you again, by the way, mate. I appreciate it, Steve. Thank you. All the best over there in Liverpool. Part of the world I've never been. I'm going to go everywhere when we can. So, yeah, it's going to be fun. Hula hoops comment. What video editing software do I use? I use Final Cut Pro. I used to use PC with Sony Vegas before I moved to Mac. Never again. Some musicians freeze up in a live setting. It's something that you need to get used to. Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's a completely different skill. You can play at home with backing tracks, but you get out live. And I know guys that can play solos note for note, but you throw them in a band situation where the timing's not exactly the same as the CD or whatever the case may be, and they're all over the place. It's just a different skill. Oxbox or Two Notes? Two Notes. Captor X is the best one of those things I've used. Look, I should preface that by saying I haven't used the Oxbox before, but the Two Notes Torpedo Live I had for 5 years. It's still sitting right here on the desk. And I had a Kemper. The Two Notes Captor X, I never used it since I got it, the Kemper, so I sold it just 3 days ago. Oh, yeah, not too long ago. And Aaron, welcome, man. Go check out his channel, folks. What do I think of the Larry Carlton signature guitars? You know, I've seen them in photos. I haven't seen them in person, so I think they look okay. They look alright. Yeah, when I haven't actually physically picked something up, I can only go by photos, and it's not always the best the best way of giving recommendations. So, yeah, it's one of those things. I haven't seen them anywhere here in Melbourne. Some of the greatest players I've ever heard through a cheap guitar and amp. Oh, totally. Yeah, but if you hear them through a good amp, it's going to sound even better. Great example of that is, what was the video? I think it was Albert King. I had where he had his rig versus like some backline that wasn't what he would normally use. I think I've got a recording of that somewhere. And yeah, tone's vast. Look, it's still great. Like, you get a good player on anything, it's still going to sound good. I totally agree. Daft says, I'm a 44-year-old beginner and starting to feel some real pain in my fretting elbow. Any good ways of preventing that or relieving it? So if you're getting sore right in your elbow, I would say either your guitar's too low, possibly, like you might be playing with it way too low down. The most comfortable way to play is to have it up. And I would also encourage you to learn to stand and play. Don't sit and play all the time. It's the worst thing for you. Because you're always hunched over. There's lots of bad things going on. Notice now in the videos, I'm standing up a whole lot more again. Because I'm playing live again. It's the best thing for your posture and everything. So, another thing too, don't be too... If you're getting sore in your chord hand, as you said, you probably want to not push too hard. You don't have to squish the fretboard to a point where it's, I've got to make a chord and I've got to really dig in. It should be kind of easy. It's all muscle memory. Sure, you're going to play with more tension in your hand from time to time, but be really conscious of having a loose hand. But if you get tennis elbow through your forearm in here, start sort of breaking it up with your thumb. I had that for about a month, and it was the worst thing. I couldn't shake hands with people without it killing me. And I just used to push around on it, and I had ultrasounds on it and everything. And one day it felt better, and then it went away. So yeah, that can suck, man. I would also, if it's really hurting you, go get it looked at. It might be something else. What's your favorite amp in the collection these days? The Marshall, the Blues Deluxe, or the Tone Master Twin? Yes. And the Artist Tweed Tone. I'm using them all live right now. I love them all. But the two that I'm really digging, I got to take the Marshall out a few weeks ago. It was awesome. Last week I got to take the Fender Blues Deluxe out, and I loved it. Actually, it's in the other room right now. But yeah, I like them all, man. I like them all for different reasons, and there isn't really a favorite. I think if I'm playing a Strat, I'll go towards the Fender or the... Look, the Strat also sounds good through the Marshall, but the Strat and the Tele tone through the Fender really works well. So if I'm playing maybe the Les Paul or the Flying V, I'm taking the Marshall. But it works in both. But yeah, Marshall's just a great amp. What do I think of... Oh, sorry, I already answered that one. There goes the chat. Far out, it just went... Let me scroll down. Love the channel, mate. Have you heard the Basin Festival is back on this year? It will be later in the year, most likely. I don't think it'll be on before November or October. Yeah, that's pretty much what I've heard. So, do I use an EQ on your board? No, I really don't think you need an EQ pedal at all, unless, of course, you have an amp that doesn't have an EQ, 3-band EQ, or a couple of tone pots or something like that on there. The exception to that is if your amp doesn't give you enough treble or it's overly bassy and you don't have anything other than just a tone control. That's when you want to basically wind out the low end on the EQ pedal and get more that way. But no, I've never used one. I don't plan on it. A lot of people will say that they use them as a boost and all that kind of stuff. There's plenty of great boost pedals out there. Hey, Ross, how are you, man? If you're not a Beatles fan, you won't survive Liverpool. Yeah, I know. Man, I don't know what it is about the Beatles. I know everyone loves them, but I think it's a generational thing. I just wasn't that interested. They were a bit too happy for me. I must be a moody a-hole or something. I don't know. Hey, Drew, welcome, man. Just dropped by. I can't wait to let loose in the candy store Friday night with you and Dr. Rick. Mate, the first video will be up this weekend, so I'll shoot you a text and let you know exactly when it's on. But yeah, mate, Drew, great playing, man. We're going to get Ross down there too at some point. That'd be kind of fun. Does the Boss Katana artist... Oh, sorry. Oh, okay, so does the Boss Katana artist good for pedals? Or is it? Yes. Yeah, they're all good for pedals. Stay on the clean channel, use a tube screamer, and you're good to go. It's funny, a good friend of mine, Rob, who I borrowed the original Katana off to do my video for YouTube years ago, he had his out with his pedal board. Usually he doesn't bring his pedal board, and his tone was great. It was so good. Clean tone on the amp, and just a tube screamer, and it was one of the best tones in the room. without question, it killed another dude's amp that's worth far more. It just sounded bigger and fuller and wider and all the good things. So it cut the mix great. So yes, stay on the clean channel, stay off the brown sound channel, stay off the crunch channel or whatever it's called. Just use it. If you're using it just as a clean pedal platform, no problems at all. You might as well just buy a Boss Katana normal one if you're going to spend that sort of money, because if you're just using it as a pedal platform, you won't necessarily need to spend the extra on the artist one. Just save your money. Oh, what's going on down here? Bill, you madman. Thanks, mate. Far out. What do you... Finally got to play my 50s original Strat through a cranked up Marshall TSL 40. Wow. There you go, mate. It's a great combo. A lot of people love using Marshalls with Strats, and they work. They absolutely work. So, yeah, mate, thank you again. Thanks for all the support over the last year or two or however long you've been supporting the channel. I appreciate it. Thank you. Mate, you've got pretty much my rig now. That's great. That's the way to go. Yeah, well, far out. Thank you. You got some great gear, Bill. Man, you got the Vola. You've got that. What else you got in your collection now? I'll keep an eye out on the chat. But, yeah, plenty of good stuff. Let me... Aaron says you sold the Kemper. I did, mate. Yeah. Look, I wasn't using it. I had it in a box for about a month and a half, 2 months. You probably noticed it hasn't been sitting here. It was in my cupboard in a box. I was like, oh, I'll put it on eBay. And I forgot it was on eBay. And I had a guy send me a message on another service that's like eBay where it was listed as well. I was like, oh, is that even on there? And he said, yeah, would you take this for it? I said, yep. All right. I'll cover shipping and get it out to you. Got it the next day, and it all worked out well. So I upgraded some camera equipment recently, and for me, it was like better to invest in something I'm going to use rather than just have something sit around. And it's whatever works for you is fine. I think the Kempers do a great job at what they do. But for what I do, the Two Notes Captor X, having the real amps there is a huge advantage for what I do with pedals and other stuff. But yeah, it's nothing wrong with Kempers, man. They're made in Germany. They're built like tanks. Bill, thanks again, mate. I don't know what to say, man. You're way too generous over there. Would you be using your amps into the Captor X? Are you cranking the master volume? Oh, absolutely. So I run my amps at where I would if I was playing out live a lot of the time. And then I have the attenuator at its lowest back to the amplifier speaker. So I get a feel of the amp behind me at a very low volume. But I'm recording with the representation of the speaker in the Captor X, and I'm using like that virtual microphone and official, Eminence impulse response. So, yeah, it's great. It's such a cool thing to have because you still get the front end of your amp. You get all the cool, things that your amplifier can do at any volume you choose to have it, or you can make the amp silent. So there's plenty of cool ways you can use it. And for me, I was actually shocked it was better than the Two Notes Torpedo Live, which I used for 5 years. I can't believe I've had it 5 years. It is so good. Beatles interest will eventually wane its way like Elvis. Yeah, it's funny. I never really got into Elvis much either, but then I started like watching documentaries on him and stuff, and I was like, yeah, I get this. I understand like why people liked it so much. It's funny because while I say I don't really listen to Beatles stuff or enjoy that much, I actually like a lot of the music that the guys did outside of it. I think they're all really talented. Maybe I need to hear different things. It's a bit like Led Zeppelin. I'm like the weird guitar YouTuber that's not obsessed with Led Zeppelin, but yeah, I've never really heard stuff that I went, oh wow, this is amazing. I'm just like, oh. I think what it is, you hear guitar riffs killed a lot in shops and online, and you're like, oh, I don't want to hear this song ever again. And I think that's ruined it for me. It's a bit like the Stairway to Heaven thing in Guitar Center, if you've ever gone into one of those. I saw a comment made by Eric Clapton about Strats. He said he always comes back to them because they are basic and the only guitar he can totally imprint his own personality on to express himself. Well, it's interesting because While I think he's a great Strat player, his 335 was the best tone he ever had, in my opinion. That even when he revisits it, like at live at Hyde Park or any of his albums, it's like, man, that guitar sounds good. But you're right. When you think of Clapton playing, you think of that bell stratty tone, or a lot of people do. If you listen to a lot of his stuff, you do think of that sound. So, yeah, I get that, and there's nowhere to hide on them either. They're a harder instrument to get to hold on to notes. You've got to really nail the tone, and they're really cool. Stop No Name says, the Beatles were okay 60 years ago. I was more of a Rolling Stones man. See, I get the Rolling Stones. Yeah, I like that as well. That's very cool. Let me have a look here. The chat is flying, but I know I missed like a big chunk of stuff. Let me scroll back up. Crazy 8360 says, I bought a Epiphone Classic SG with P90s. Why didn't someone tell me about these when I was 16? Maybe my lifetime favorite guitar now. That's great, man. Awesome. Excuse me. The Epiphone are making some great stuff. The best ones that I've played are the ones that came out, I guess, last year now. The 50s ones, the 60s ones, and the SG. That white SG was one of the best SGs I've ever played. So, yeah, congrats, man. That's cool. Have I ever played an Epi Strat copy? No, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Do you mean Epiphone Strat copy or something? I'm not too sure. Hey, Fat, welcome, man. Please review a Charvel Pro Mod SoCal Style 2. I don't even know what that is, man, but if I can, I will. A lot of people asking for the Charvel stuff, huh? All right. Well, I'll see what we can do. We're going to go shoot another one of these videos that will be up on Saturday, next Friday. So we'll dig into some different brands and different guitars and see what we can find. How often do we get called to play Freebird? No, not ever here. It's not an Australian thing. It's more like we get a whole different selection of songs called out for us. The most frustrating one would be Mustang Sally, even though it can be a good song. It generally isn't when it's played at jams. I think we get a lot of people requesting stuff like Cold Chisel or Jimmie Vaughan, stuff most people around the world probably don't know about. But I know I've played in Florida. I've spent a lot of time there as well, and that's definitely one of the songs that goes over pretty well down there. Just bought a Vintera 50 Strat. Well, revisiting a Strat is a more mature player is amazing. Last Strat I had was nearly 30 years ago. Far out. Good stuff, Brian. Awesome, man. Have I tried the Marshall JVM? I heard one the other night. I wasn't overly impressed, to be honest. I need to hear it with the way I would dial it in, just to see if it helped. So I'm going to reserve judgment on saying I didn't like it because I haven't tried it myself. I've only heard someone else use them. What strings do I use? Whatever I can get that's the cheapest. Usually Diodarios or I said this before. I just Power Slinky ones, the Ernie Balls. I'm thinking about buying a Hotone Ampero, but I'm doubtful of the modification effects. Modulation effects, flanger, pitch shift, etc. What do I think of these effects since you reviewed the unit? I never really used any of the pitch shifting ones. At least I can't remember. I've reviewed so many pedals that I can't really remember. I don't usually dial that sort of stuff in for my sound, but I was able to get a really good sound out of the Hotone stuff for what I like. I think the biggest limitation it had was you couldn't reorder the effects in the chain, It was like this button corresponds to that effect, and this one corresponds to that effect. So if you're used to using analog pedals, you couldn't like switch them around. I think that was one of the things that I sort of found it frustrating, but as a home recording tool, they're really good. Someone asked me before the chat went up, I'm sorry I didn't reply to you, if I used the G150 after I did the videos. No, I sold it pretty much straight after. That's how I cover my costs. I don't charge for my videos, but anything that I don't want, I on-sell. And that's kind of how I work. And no, I didn't use it afterwards, but I'd also at that point had a few of the other ones as well. So I was like, I can't keep everything, and I don't plan on doing that either. But they're all pretty good at home recording. I think the Hotone Ampero is probably like a more premium all-in-one effects pedal in terms of build quality. It's kind of like the G200 in terms of the more stuff, and then the G300 is kind of like above both of them again, just in terms of like how it's built and what it can do and all the outputs and things like that. If you're strictly a home player, then you might, or if you just want to record, they're a great tool. It's not something I would ever take out and play live. None of them are. It just isn't. I've learnt my lesson with a lot of that digital stuff, trying to get it to work in a live mix. When something's not right, or you're playing through a crap PA system, it doesn't take much for something to go wrong, and then all of a sudden you can't navigate the menus on the fly. It's a nightmare. So as a home unit, always they're great because you can just sit there and get the tone you want, store it, and bring it back through the speakers the way you like to hear it. But if you're taking it somewhere or plugging it into an amp, the only way I would use any of those things through an amp is for delays, modulations, and reverbs. If you like play the shoegazy sort of stuff, it'll work for that. What have we got? All right, we've got about 12 minutes left. Let me scroll back down. Sorry, guys. Cheap wireless packs are not bad, but the proof is in the pudding how long it will last. Mine broke down after a year. Yeah, strangely enough, I was talking to Tone King about this, right? And we both did like an end-of-year wrap-up within a day of each other. We didn't talk to each other about that. We just do our own thing. And we both had the same complaint. Like the X5 stuff worked when we first got it. And then after a couple months, it was like, well, not even. It felt like they were just all of a sudden losing signal or not clipping into the guitar properly. So, yeah, some are far better than others with that. But not all of them are bad either. There's one that I use all the time. It's like a New X one. And it just fits all of the guitars really well. And you can fold it down slightly so it works on like guitars that have the front-loaded jacks, like a 335 or some other guitar that has front-loaded jacks. Let me scroll down. Far out. Sorry, guys. I'm so behind the comments here. Can you recommend a good affordable amp under $250 with a really good cab sim for headphone use? You know, you could probably get away with like a Fender Mustang or something like that. That would probably do the job. I don't know how much they are in terms of pounds, because I don't really. I think that would fit around that budget. If you just want something that works with headphones and has good cab sim, they record really well to a sound card as well, just via the XLR outputs. They sound great. Something like that will do the job. Just trying to think of what else I've tried that is sort of small, that has a good headphone out. I don't use the headphone out on a lot of the practice amps and stuff, so I was going to say the Joyo Jam Buddy's a really good tool too, but I haven't played with headphones with that before. So yeah, I'm not too sure. John says, Sky Music have the black Chevelle at the moment. I'd love to see Shane go sick with the Floyd Rose. All right, mate, you've asked for it. Watch the metal trolls come out of the woodwork. That's not how you play. Yeah. Hey, thanks, Jamal. Cheers, man. Not a problem, man. Oh, we got another super chat here. Bruce, thank you, man. He says, just to support the channel. I appreciate that, mate. Thank you. Thanks to everybody for the support. Far out. yeah, I appreciate it. So as I said earlier, if you've just joined, the videos will start up again as of this weekend. I've been working on a big project with a number of other channels, talking about something that needs to be spoken about. So we've all got an input into it. I've also reached out to someone who's not in the guitar niche, who is doing things that the way that I think a lot of people in the guitar creator community should be doing things, and I want to get his input on it as well. So you might see someone you might have seen on it in a completely different section on YouTube in this video if it all goes to plan, but we'll see. But I've had a really good response from a lot of the guys that will be in it, even if I haven't had the best relationship with them over the years, or this has kind of smoothed things out, or if I've just not worked with them or haven't spoken to them for a year or two. This was a really good opportunity for us to get together and talk about something that needs to be talked about. So yeah, stay tuned for that. Donald says he just picked up a Headrush gig board and FR speaker. Really impressed. Have you tried these and what do you think? I think the Headrush pedal boards are probably one of the best of its type out there. If that's what you're into, they're a great thing. That's not to sound condescending or anything. It's just everybody likes different things. So I personally prefer an amp that I can just plug into. But if you want to get every sound out of it and still have something that you can use to jam with, then it's a great choice. Yeah, thanks again, Bruce. Thanks again, everybody who's used the super chat here. Bill as well. Thanks, mate. Who else was there? There was Steve as well. Thank you, mate. And Jeff. All right, cool. Let me scroll back down. Thawing out in West Michigan. Wow. Yeah, I want to get back to Michigan at some point. I really want to see where I want to go back to the area I was in back in 1999, because it's been a long time since I've been there, so it'd be fun. Gretsch Electromatic G120 thoughts. I think Gretsch guitars are really good. I think they're probably undervalued or underappreciated instruments given their price. I think they're pretty reasonable. Some of them are pretty expensive, being that they're made in Japan. But the ones that aren't are great as well. Like I reviewed a few in December. I think they're really cool. I don't know if I've reviewed the Gretsch Electromatic G5 120. Let me have a look. There's so many model numbers, and it's like, unlike, you can't just say like Fender Tele and you know what you're talking about. So, yeah, okay. So we've got a couple of Chet Atkins ones of these coming up, which I think might be that particular model. So, yeah, hang in there. This weekend, all being well, it'll be up. Well, it's already scheduled, so. Ibanez AZ series. Ibanez AZ. I think I did one of these, right? Did I not? Oh, okay, maybe not. So I reviewed, I did do an Ibanez review video. Yeah, so I did the AZ2402, which was really good. It was one of the best guitars of the year for me, It was unreal. A little overpriced, in my opinion, but definitely one of the best pickup tones of any guitar I've ever played. Those humbuckers was something special. And the split coil sounded amazing. It's the best split coil tones I've heard on a guitar. Just $3,500. It's getting up there to the custom shop Fender stuff in terms of price. It's a little on the expensive side, but beautiful. Absolutely. If that was, say, around $2,200, I would have bought it, but not $35. Love the channel, Shane. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Len. I appreciate that, mate. Cheers. Let me move this over. Show me that beast. Greetings and salutations to you too, mate. Thank you. Donnie Brook says the silver one is the made in Mexican one from what I've seen. There doesn't seem to be a ton of difference. Anaton's made a video on it recently. Okay, cool. Have I checked out the PRS SE, the cheapest one? I don't know if there's one that's less expensive than mine. I've got a PRSSE Custom 24 it was made in Korea. I know now that there's a made in Indonesia one, which I don't like that much. I reviewed it and it was a horrible guitar to play. I haven't even uploaded that video. It's still sitting on my hard drive, so I should do that at some point, but I don't think I was playing very well that day either. I was like, oh man, I don't like uploading videos I'm not happy with. So I think last month I had a couple sitting there, or the month before now, December. I never uploaded them because I watched them back. I'm like, this video sucks, and I don't want to release videos that just aren't good. So, or at least not up to my own standard. They can be crap, but at least if I'm happy with them, then that's all right. Yeah, Chet Atkins is great, man. Steve says, Michigan makes me think of a superb song by Greg Brown called Laughing River. Okay, cool. I always think of Primus when I hear Michigan. I think of a few different things, actually, but yeah, there's a song they did called Kalamazoo, and you hear that reference come up in a lot of songs, but yeah. Thank you, Dr. Cook, is it? 45 says, hey Shane, thanks for your hard work. Love the channel. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. Thank you. Landon, thanks, man. Welcome. Oh, he said thank you. I said thank you. I meant to say hello. Sorry, it's after midnight here. After midnight. What are my thoughts on the American Pro 2? Tele, I love mine. Keep up the good work. Fantastic guitars. Absolutely. You know, I was talking to Landon about this recently. If I had have had that option when I bought my last Telecaster, it would have been a really tough choice. And I don't think there's a lot in it when it comes to, like, they're both premium guitars, which can't be said for some of the other ones Fender release, where it's just like, oh, here's another guitar every year. They're really, really good. And coming up next Friday, I finally got my hands on a lefty. So, well, they've got one at the store, so I'll borrow that, or we'll do a review at the shop with it. So, yeah, great guitars. The Strat is unbelievably good. It is fantastic. I got to play one where the volume control worked as well recently, and just the feel of it. You know, sometimes guitars are wired up like that. I've experienced that a lot with all kinds of guitars at different price points, but the Pro 2 stuff is phenomenal. It is really, really great. That's all you would need. Out of all the Strats I've owned over the years and Telecasters, that would be right up with the best of them, which are the ones that I've got right now. It's funny, because I said this earlier too. I'll get to the Super Chats. Thanks, guys. Far out. When, I don't know if I'm Landon's, anyway, mate of mine was thinking of buying the one that I've got, and I said, you should really consider getting these new ones. And after playing the Professional 2, and I was like a bit disheartened that mine wouldn't be anywhere near as good, because they felt and played like a guitar I'd had for years. I got back on mine, I went, oh, okay, so they're fairly similar. So I didn't feel so bad in the end, but they're great. I highly recommend them. I had no expectations of them. I thought it was just another guitar, another year, next year it'll all be forgotten, but they're really good. Have I ever tried a Duesenberg? I have. One of the best guitars I've played, the TV Star Player. All right, PD, thank you, man. Support the channel. Love. Thanks, Shane. Video and audio quality is coming in fantastic, by the way. Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I finally got this setup done, you know, like I'm sticking with the cameras and equipment I've got. I think it's not going to get any better without me having spent a lot more money on stuff, and it's stuff that will work long term for me. So I'm actually shooting this live stream with one of these GH5S cameras. So yeah, as I said before, I flipped the Kemper, got another one of these, flipped another camera, and yeah, I've got all matching stuff, audio and video wise now. I'm wrapped with the setup, and hopefully, yeah, you can notice the difference. Thank you. Like I always say this to people, like any of these super chats, unlike a lot of channels where they never upgrade anything, I'm always trying to make things better. And that's not to belittle them, but you know, the support that comes in this way goes, it should be clearly obvious I'm putting it back into the channel. So thank you. Cheers. Jamal, you madman. Yeah, a cup of coffee. Thanks, mate. What are you doing, man? You guys that are on Patreon, you don't need to be doing these super chats. You know, it's great of you, but you don't seriously have to do it. So thank you. Who's my greatest guitar influence? Clapton. You know, I kind of... It changed over the years, but I would still say he was the guy. You know, driving back to the airport in Detroit from Ann Arbor. Oh, no, not from Ann Arbor, from Torch Lake. We were, had From the Cradle on repeat, and that was it. I wanted to play guitar after I heard that. Like, I really wanted to play electric guitar and blues. That was the album. And that came out that year. I didn't realize, but yeah, I would say him. I say probably my favorite guitar players would be Knopfler. I already liked a lot of guitar music. I loved the whole sing and play thing, and I didn't really know much about it. So once I started getting into Clapton, I sort of found Knopfler and Dire Straits and all that kind of stuff, and got right into that. Even though I knew those songs, I didn't realize how great Knopfler was, maybe, and how different it was to all the other stuff. So I would say those two, and Albert King's probably my favorite blues player, but Clapton, without question. And in the most recent years, I would say, in terms of the blues players, I would say Chris Kane, hands down, and Tommy Castro, who's there. He's phenomenal. Just completely underrated. I'd love to get him on a live chat, actually. I might shoot him an Instagram message. He actually replies to people on his feed, so I might ask him. Thanks again, guys. Thank you, PD, and thank you, Jamal. Oh, all right. So Landon, sorry, man. He did say Pro 2 Tele is my number one guitar now. Yeah, it's so good. It just the colors look good. When I first saw them, I thought, oh man, what have they done? Just painted last year's guitars? They're not even close. This is how good they are, right? I reviewed that Miami Blue Strat, and I had a Sunburst one from the year prior. The year prior guitar, I wasn't even interested in playing. I was like, I'm not going to review this. The new one's heaps better. So that's why I shot that short video with the vertical thing, just to do a quick comparison between the differences. But look, the other ones aren't a bad guitar either. It's just the new ones feel more premium. You know, that's how I feel about it. Have I tried a Jazzmaster? I have, and there's another video coming up this weekend with one. To be fair, I don't really love them. I think they're okay visually. Tone-wise, they're all right, but they're not really a blues player or someone who really likes to bend or solo kind of guitar. They're more of they're a different kind of instrument, in my opinion. Sean from Slovakia, welcome, mate. All right, yeah, I've told my channel I won't be getting the American original anymore. Cool, good stuff. I just got a Harley Benton single cut, custom light, black gold hardware, and two P90s. Absolutely awesome. Thanks for the mention. Hey, Dr. Cook, thanks, man. No worries. That's great. Good stuff. Those single cut guitars are pretty cool. I didn't even know they had a black one with gold hardware. So a bit out of the loop with the Harley Benton stuff. I haven't really had any in my hand for, I guess, probably 6 months or more now. Yeah, I still stand by them being like, along with the Yamaha Pacificas, all that kind of stuff, the artist guitars. I want to kind of give something away that is quite shocking, but I'm not going to. I'll save that for another. I'll save that for another video. But yeah, I've got a video. If you see me in a car in a thumbnail, watch that video. It may surprise you. What's the max? Oh, what's the max temperature difference between inside and out that I can play comfortably? Take my guitar outside to play. Currently 22 in, 16 out. So when you play outside, like being that the strings are steel, heat will make them stretch and cold will make them shrink. Not much, but enough to send tuning out of whack. So my suggestion is if you're going to be doing a gig outside or playing outside, let the guitar kind of acclimatize and then tune it up. You shouldn't have any problems. Nearly every time we do an outdoor festival, I play for 10 minutes, 15 minutes beforehand, just outside near my car, just to get the strings used to everything and to get the fingers moving and all that kind of stuff. And that usually helps the tuning stability. If it's really hot, you're getting blasted by sun, then it's a different story. But 22 to 16, you should be okay unless it's really like damp or something like that. Torchlake is a world wonder. It's beautiful. Yeah, Rory Gallagher. Yeah, I still haven't listened to a lot of his stuff. I always get asked about Rory Gallagher. I've only seen a couple of the videos on YouTube with him, and he's good. He's got that very sort of 60s vocalist sound that all of those guys had. He could kind of sound like, he's got his own thing going on, but him and Clapton, a lot of the guys, they all had a very similar sort of tonality in their way that they sang. But yeah, he's a great player. Jeff, thank you, man. Far out. He says, thanks for the artist review recently. I got my granddaughter one as a first guitar. Fantastic. Had to get myself one. It's just been delivered. Cheers all. Hey, thanks, Jeff. Thank you, mate. That's awesome. I'm glad you got it. It looks like you're lefty as well. That's fantastic. Yeah, they're super cool. And I tell you what, just secretly, this 335 back here that's behind me, their black 58 is a beast. I cut the backing track for it today. It's funny, like I usually start a video and finish it on the same day, but not today. So the continuity will be weird on that one, but it's they're really, really nice guitars, especially given where they come in price-wise. I'm going to say that black guitar is better than a lot of instruments, far more expensive than it. Anyway, we'll get to that in the video. Fat says, and thank you again, Jeff. I appreciate it, mate. Fat says, how's the financing on guitars in Australia? Do you get 24 months interest-free? Look, I don't buy anything anymore if I can't buy it outright. I don't care what it is. I don't use my credit card unless I pay it back when I get home. I'd make an effort not to do any of that stuff. A lot of the shops do have, I think, what they call afterpay, which means you probably are in a situation where you forget about it, then they charge you 30% or something. I don't know. I haven't looked into it. I don't like any of that sort of stuff. So, yeah, I always make sure, whether it's a piece of camera equipment, a lens, a guitar, if I haven't got the money up front to buy it, I don't buy it. It's the best decision I ever made in my life. So, yeah, I don't look into those options. Unless, of course, if I buy a house at some point, that's going to be a different situation. But yeah, I don't know is the short answer. Some name dropping, but Nita Strauss, Melina Moyle, I don't know who that is. Felix Martin have chatted with me. Oh, good stuff. Cool. Bill Beam, thank you, mate. Far out. What's better, Harley Benton T52 or the Artist TC59? So he says it seems the 59 has more features and the double humbuckers. You're right. So if you're thinking about which one to buy, and say you're in Australia, buy the Artist guitar because you'll have far less. They're so similar, like in terms of their feel, that one isn't really better than the other. They're just configured very differently. The one downside to the Artist guitar is it's quite a bit heavier from memory than the Harley Benton T52. But you get the split coil options and 2 killer humbuckers. If you can live with the weight, which a lot of people either can or they can't. If you sit down and play all the time, you're going to be fine. If you are a stand-up player, you probably want to go for the Harley Benton. It's a heavy guitar, still the Harley Benton, but it's nowhere near as bad as the Artist one. So I know John, who's in the chat here, he's got both as well, or he's had both. And I almost always hear, I loved my Artist TC59, but I can't live with the weight. That's usually the comment I see come up if you go through the review video comments, you'll see, I had one of these, they're awesome quality, they sound great, but they're heavy. So look, if you're a huge fan of, I would almost say this, if you're going to buy a Telecaster, probably go for a typical Tele. Go for the Harley Benton or like a Squire or something like that. If you're going to go for a humbucker guitar, maybe look into the Artist Cherry. What are they called? No, the LP50 something. Oh, I can't remember the model number, but they've got a Les Paul copy with bullbucker pickups that also has split coil. I don't even think they're anywhere near as heavy as that Telecaster. So that might, tonally they're going to be pretty similar in some ways. But yeah, it's a tough choice, man. You've just got to work out what appeals to you more. The dual humbuckers that you can split coil, or if that's something you'll ever use or not. So I'm throwing it back at you. Hopefully that gives you something to think about. Thanks, mate. Bertram says, how do I practice guitar? Well, a lot of the times, like over the last few months in particular, a lot of the practice I've been doing is writing new tracks for the videos. That's great practice. I'm forcing myself to play different things that aren't in my muscle memory. And today I did this really nice little melodic thing that I haven't done before. And I was like, oh, this is cool because the chord progression is different. I don't really sit down and run scales or anything like that. If I'm going to practice, I'll put a backing track on and jam as well. I haven't been doing enough of that lately, to be honest, but I'm playing enough now. Like I play Sundays, and we're doing this Friday thing from time to time where that's kind of like good practice as well. But yeah, I probably don't put as much time into it as I should. I'm pretty consistent now. Like I can kind of pick a guitar up even after a week of not playing, and I'll be good to go. It feels like once 2 weeks go by, that's when stuff starts to really show that I haven't practiced. Was the black 58 very different to the red one? Yes. Yeah, it is. It's much better. Build quality wise, it's pretty flawless. The tailpiece is better on this new one, the way that it sits against the body. Yeah, I really like it. I think it's a great guitar. A lot of people learn that lesson of credit when they realize they have to pay it back. Yeah, exactly. You know, it's just a headache you don't need. I'd rather not have something than have a headache. You know, thinking about how to pay for it. That's the worst thing in the world. You know, sometimes there's no choice, but there is a choice. You just don't put yourself in that situation. The stress of repayment. I used to have that when I was younger, so the stress of repayment is far worse than the stress of not having something or whatever the case is, right? So, yeah, I don't ever lease anything anymore. I've done that with a car in the past. Never do it again. Hey, VS Audio, welcome, mate. I got to send you an email, by the way, too. You'll laugh when you get this email. But yeah, I got a nice little parcel from them the other day with a couple of cool pedals. So yeah, I'm going to feature them in amongst some other stuff, and it'll be obviously disclosed to the audience. as I just did then. Which Tommy Castro album do you like the most? I would say the Live at the Fillmore is really good, but they're all great. Go back to hang on, I'm just going to bring up his album list because I've got nearly all of them. Castro albums. Yeah, so Can't Keep a Good Man Down is phenomenal. That's such a great album. Live at the Fillmore, Rider's Rain, arguably one of the best songs of all time. Painkiller's a good album as well. So they're all really good. Like it's hard to really pick one, but I think the one that inspired me the most to play, and the one that got me into Tommy Castro, was Live at the Fillmore. He's just phenomenal. He's such a cool dude. I love watching his Instagram videos. He's just such a likable dude. Very very down to earth and just a great talent. For me, it's more about it's a vocal thing as much as it is a guitar thing, and he's got them both, and he's got a great band. So yeah, but he's got a song on that live session called Nasty Habits. That's kind of what inspired me to play funk blues. But then he does Callin' San Francisco, and that's one of the best shuffles you'll ever hear. It keeps going up. And when you think it can't get any bigger, it gets bigger. It is such a great song. So everybody go YouTube, Callin' San Francisco live. John says the Bullbuckers are awesome pickups based on the Seymour Duncan Jazz JB combos. Oh, they are. They're fantastic. Really great pickups. Yeah, absolutely right. I never had a T52. The artist is heavy. No, they're offering a thin line version. Same pickups. They say they'll be a bit lighter. Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I did actually see those. I will be getting one of those at some point when they come in a lefty. I think next month, possibly. End of next month. Yeah, that's the only problem with the artist Teles. Like, they're awesome. Everything about them's good, but they're really heavy. And they're a good point of difference to the T52. I was going to add this in before too when I got asked that question. The other reason, if you can buy locally, it's a lot easier if you've got a problem. You know, you've always got to take that into consideration. Ask Guitars, they'll ship it back and send you another one. You know, if you've got to get something back to Toman, it's not sometimes the easiest if you're overseas because shipping's brutal. They must have deals with shipping companies or however they do it. I don't know. Mike says, good morning from the USA. Love your channel. A lot of great info, sweet playing. Thanks, mate. I appreciate that. I got my first pedal, Clone. Very cool. Nice. Thank you, Mike. Cheers, man. Live at the Regal from BB King. Mate, of course I've heard that. Kidding me? Yeah, no. I've my blues collection of stuff is probably as wide as the wall, sideways, right? So I got a lot of blues music. Well, now it's all virtual on the hard drive, but yeah. I've been singing a while. Benjamin says, I've been singing while I play lately. I use an app called Jam Zone. Okay, cool. Whatever helps you learn and get the timing down, it's all good. It's all about doing it, you know. You've got to just get your independence of your hand separated from your mouth. And that can just be a challenge for some people. Ever listen to Jim Compolengo? He came up in my suggestions. Yeah, I have actually. Rick showed me some of his stuff probably 5 years ago or so. I can't really remember much of it, to be honest, but I know the name. But yeah, there's some great players out there that no one knows. Yeah, the Fillmore's got so many great recordings. You know, Bertram's just talking about Hendrix there. I've got a Tuesday and a Wednesday night live Albert King session from the Fillmore. And it's like, oh, this is awesome. Just so much good stuff. One of my favorite albums of all time was Van Morrison's live show at the Fillmore. It's a double CD album thing, and it is unbelievable. If you're into great music, some sort of weird stuff in there as well, but generally just great. He's got John Lee Hooker in there. He's got Jimmy Witherspoon and all these blues guys. It's so good. He's another guy I don't hear many people talking about, you know, like everyone knows Moondance and bloody Gloria, but Van Morrison, what a beast. Oh, we might wrap this up soon. It's getting kind of late. I'll stop at 12:30, which is a bit longer than I was going to go for. Used to play Rory Gallagher's... I can't talk. Used to play Rory Gallagher's Public Enemy when I was in a band and really enjoyed that one. Cool. Good stuff. CJ says, hey Shane, CJ from NJ, New Jersey, love your channel and digging your backdrop. Thanks, man. So, Hail Fulci, yeah. I should get some Goblin, the Goblin band's posters back there as well. So I've added a couple of new ones to the wall. I finally found a Mark Knopfler poster I like. It's kind of like an animated / I think it's Money for Nothing era. At least that's what it looks for. You can't see it down here, but I've got Fun Loving Criminals back behind Jason over there. I don't know if you can see that or not. He's on this side. What else did I put on? I got a Popa Chubby one, which is over here. And there was one more. I got 4 of them done. What's the other one? And I can't remember. Anyway, maybe I didn't put it on the wall. You can get... the point was you can get all of these on Google Images, and you can get them printed out and laminated with a matte finish, and you can have the same thing. Stop the Name says, I saw him in Bodega Bay Seafood and Wine Festival. He had the crowd rocking. Great bloke, very cool. Yeah, that would have been super fun. And you saw Popa Chubby in New York too, you lucky bastard. Tele with the Joe Bardens versus 60s Les Paul Standard. 2 completely separate guitars, man. What do you prefer? If you like Les Pauls, you'll pick the Les Paul. If you like a Tele, you'll play the Tele. The Joe Bardens aren't high gain humbuckers. They're low gain low output, noise-free pickups. I don't even want to consider them rail pickups because they sound nothing like rail pickups. A lot of people get them confused visually because they're very similar to a lot of the, the dual rail high output Seymour Duncans or something like that, but they're the complete opposite. They got as low output in terms of their rating as a vintage Tele, except for the bridge pickup, which is a little bit hotter, but it works great. When I practice, which guitar do I pick up? Kind of whatever's easiest to get out at the time. I don't practice a lot with something like the Flying V. I tend to... The way I usually work, if I know I'm going to be playing, say, on a Sunday, I'll think, all right, I'm going to take these two guitars out with me tonight, and I'll generally put them out in the lounge room, and I'll pick them up and have a sort of noodle around on them or whatever. And that's kind of about it. I don't really make a conscious decision to pick up one more so than the other. Just depends on the mood and if I'm going to be plugging into my amp or not as well. Otherwise, I play electric guitar a lot without an amp. I reckon that's really good for your picking attack as well. Cameron says, bought a Mustang GTX 100 waiting for delivery. You've given great reviews. Still feel the same. Will I get a full-bodied sound from it? Which amp model for that tone? I think they're great for what they are, and I always put that into perspective. So in terms of a digital modeling amplifier that does a lot of different things, if you like the Fender tones, you're going to love it. I think it does the Fender cleans really, really well. So just set it to something like a Fender Twin or a what are they called, Deluxe Reverb, and start there. Keep it simple and turn them up, and they sound great. So I always, as I said in the video when I compared it to the Katana, if you're into high gain tones, I think the Katana does that better. If you're into the Fender tones, the Fender does the Fender better, as it should. There's nothing wrong with the three, like it's got so much more push of sound than the GT 200s did and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, that little microphone, everyone's picking on me because it sits here and there's this big, the pop filter thing comes out the top here. Thanks for that, Josh. Saw Jimmie Vaughan front row at the Iridium in New York. Cool. Yeah, he's a guy I didn't really understand for a long time. I was like, I don't really get Jimmie Vaughan. Like, what am I missing here? And then it grew on me something shocking. I was like, all right, he's cool. He's super cool. And he's got his own sort of vibe going on. And I think what changed my mind on him, I listened to some interviews with him, and I'm like, I like this guy. And then I got more into his music, and not really... Sometimes when you hear just music of somebody, it's either, it's all right, and then you like watch an interview or a documentary, and you go, oh, okay, now I sort of get it. I actually really like him now. I don't think he's the greatest vocalist in the world, but I like his vibe. I think his playing is different. He's a great rhythm player. He's got a unique sort of sound, and he can pick it, which is something that can't be said for a lot of players. Len, thank you, man. He says, got to head out. Taking time to do this. Thanks, mate. No, thank you. Thanks for hanging out. Brizzy Adams says, I have a selfie with Popa Chubby. Saw him at Mazel? Is that how you say that? I don't know. His bass player is also a beast. Played low-key blues, then had a solo, and he turned into Marcus Miller. Yeah, man. I tell you what. That's the Hank Hill coming out. Tommy, I've got Tommy Castro on screen here. Popa Chubby is maybe the most underrated guitar player out there. Like Stevie Ray, like who else is there out there that never runs out of ideas? Just guys like that can just play and never get stuck. Popa Chubby's like right up there with the best of them. He's so good. He can play for 10 minutes. Like Chris Kane. He's got that unlimited flow thing where he can just keep going. And Popa Chubby does that. He's so underappreciated, I think. And his Strat tone is so good. It's great. He's just a fantastic player. And he was one of the guys that got me into wanting to play certain styles of blues as well. I've taken a lot off his Booty and the Beast album. Just really great rhythmic ideas and great sort of connecting notes and stuff like that. It's just so, he's a great player. But then you watch his live stuff and he'll solo and it will take you somewhere and it will sound great and it feels good and it's just a different... He's one of the only guys that can really nail the Hendrix thing if he needs to. Like he did a Hendrix tribute tour for a while where he'd do like all of the songs extremely well and kind of put his own thing on it as well. And Popa Chubby's a absolute beast of a player. It's criminal that more people... I would have loved to have seen him at the Clapton Crossroads Festival. He's far better than a lot of the guys that are more household names. He's a monster of a player. Same with Chris Kane too. I mean, that guy run rings around anybody. Not that it's a competition, but just in terms of, like, everyone would be like, oh, okay, wow. Jimmie Vaughan, best song, How to Know. Okay, cool. I don't know if I know that one. I'll take a look. Another band I really love, and they've been on the wall too, is Mofro. JJ Gray and Mofro. If you don't know those guys, go look them up. That band is just fantastic. It's not heavily guitar influenced stuff, but there's a song called Old Glory, OL-Glory, and it's live in the jam van or whatever it's called. There's this van that shoots bands, basically. They go in this van, they cram their band in this tiny area that's really full of color. It looks beautiful. It's a really cool setup, and they film a couple of songs and live in the... Is it called... I've forgotten what it's called. Anyway, but you'll find it. And it's just so good. Like, there's so much great stuff out there. It really is. Suggestions to change out the tubes in the Blackstar HT20. Mine is muddy as hell. Buy a new amp. Valves aren't going to help you, man. That's my biggest complaint with a lot of the Blackstar stuff, HT in particular. Anytime I've heard the 40 in a live mix, it's always muddy, and it always has this mid-scoop thing. It's got lots of bass and some treble, but it is muddy. Unfortunately, I think the Blackstar stuff isn't a good live amp for that reason. You could try running like an EQ pedal. That would be the time where you probably want to try an EQ pedal, but it may not help. If it's muddy because of saturation and you don't like the gain tone, it's kind of going to be hard to fix. So flip it on eBay or whatever it is that you want to list it on, and find something else, because I find them very heavily mid-scooped and pretty lackluster compared to a lot of other amps that I've heard in the context of like a band situation. So it's probably not the answer you want to hear. I don't want to upset you, but I feel like they're not the best amps for clarity. I'll put it that way. I don't know what guitar you're playing either, right? So that could have some impact on it. But if you're playing humbuckers through a Blackstar HT20, yeah, it's probably going to be pretty dark and muddy. Changing valves will be a waste of money unless they're faulty. Don't think you're going to get like a completely different sound out of the amplifier by changing them. If they're faulty, you will. But if they're not, you're wasting your money. It might only make 5% difference. Now, some could argue if the bias on the amp has changed and all this kind of stuff, don't waste your time. You're still wasting your money. I would almost consider... I have a feeling a lot of that sort of scoop tone could be part of the speaker's problem. So you might want to look at getting a brighter speaker, maybe something that has a bit more of a classic rock tone. That could fix it, because changing speakers makes a huge difference. I'll post a link down here. You can check it out. It's my speaker website. You can go check it out. And that will give you there's a post pinned on the first page. It'll allow you to sort of understand what to look for if you're thinking about changing your speaker, because yeah, you've got to basically pick the right one to get what you want. Josh says, how's the JJ album coming along? It hasn't progressed. I've been so lazy with it. It got like 90% finished, And then when I move my other computer out of here, all of those projects are on another program, on another computer. I've just been really terrible at finishing it off. I actually feel kind of bad. It's just sitting there the way that it is. So I should take like 2 or 3 weeks off this year and finish it and just get it done, because it's sounding great. I need to, like, when I say it's 90% done, like, I think 8 of 10 songs are finished. I just need to mix it. So yeah. Have I heard of Robin Trower? I have. I don't know if I know a lot of his stuff, but I've definitely heard the name. But I'll look into it. Thanks, man. When's your bass guitar video coming out? Yeah, I haven't shot that yet. I keep thinking about doing that, actually. I should probably do that at some point. I might do like a meme video for one of the other... What's his name? Davey504. VHT Special 6. I don't know what that is. No. 5:30 a.m. there. Probably not going to happen again. Thanks, Radman. It's 12:36 a.m. here on a Friday now. So, Online Busker says, "Good day from Spain. Can't stay. Got to work." No worries, mate. I'm going to get out of here in a minute. Thank you, everybody, for joining in today. I appreciate it. Yeah, Jam in the Van. There you go. That's what it's called. Yeah. So check out Old Glory Jam in the Van. Just punch that into YouTube. It's one of my favorite bands there. Super cool. So everybody who's been in the chat tonight, thank you for hanging out. I appreciate it. I'll try and timestamp this before I fall asleep. If I don't, it'll be tomorrow now, but or later today, I should say. Stay tuned for the new video coming up this weekend, which I think will be a whole lot of fun. It's something very different, and I hope you get a kick out of it. A lot of work went into it. It's a 2-part video, and a lot of the stuff we've had requests for over the last year or so or more will be in this video. So at least over the course of both of them anyway. Yeah. Anyway, rock on, everybody. Thanks for hanging out. I appreciate it. Thank you for all the super chats and supports and thumbs up and comments and questions and all that kind of thing. And I'll catch you on the next one of these. We'll probably do one again next week. I'll do it probably in the morning just to mix it up. It's sometimes a bit easier for me as well. But I fell asleep early, and then I got up and I was like, oh, man, I haven't even eaten. I woke up hungry, so I was like, I had to go get some food, and then I got the second wind and Pepsi Max, and I was ready to rock and roll. So, last question from Bill here. He says, did I sell a drum kit? I haven't seen it in a while. I did. Once I realized I could get great drums from GarageBand, which is what you've been listening to for probably the last 2 months, I was like, oh, yeah, it's got to go. So I ended up flipping it. I have a feeling I put that cash into something else. I just can't think of what it was, if it was a guitar or if it was something else. Usually that's what I do. If I move something on, it goes back into something else. Anyway, guys, take care. Thank you again. If I missed your question, I apologize. Sometimes the chat just goes crazy and I miss stuff. But my Desert Island overdrive will be the Royal Flush, without question. I love it. All right, guys, rock on. Take care. Thanks again.